you can offset up to all your income for the year, depending on the size of the property and how much you have. If you're somebody like me, I think you actually have to think about it a little more strategically.
I do want to get into like what it is and what it means for the investor and things like that.
Sure.
At a high level, let's say 60 seconds or less, even though I'm not timing it. What is, because I have a bunch of other follow-up questions on this to go a little bit deeper, but what is cost segregation and why should investors care about it?
Yeah, essentially cost segregation allows you to, actually I'll step back and say that when you buy a property, the IRS looks at that property as one asset that depreciates over 27 and a half years or 39 years, depending on if it's commercial or residential. And essentially within that building, there's hundreds of different assets, and a cost segregation essentially allows you to break the property up into those assets. So everything from the cabinetry to the flooring to the parking lot to the walkway all have different depreciable lives. So the cost seg is essentially the process of breaking that up into the typical buckets are 5 years, which is a lot of the interior stuff, 7 years, which is like office furniture, and then 15 years, which is a lot of exterior land improvements. And generally you can accelerate like 20 to 30% of the property into those buckets, and we'll talk about it, I think, later, but there's also something called bonus depreciation, which allows you to further accelerate that.
And the idea is like that, again, at a very basic level, when you talk about depreciation, that is basically amounts of money that you can put against earned income, right?
So yes, earned income. So there's kind of two buckets. So if you're a real estate professional, then yes, it can be against all your income. If you're not a real estate professional, so somebody like myself, that kind of stays in a passive income bucket, so it can offset your essentially all your real estate activity.
Right.
Yeah.
So passive income as well.
Correct. Yeah. Exactly. Yep.
And so it would be beneficial if you make a lot, essentially if you have high income and then you need to pay, you want to pay less taxes. Yep. So you do the cost segregation to kind of accelerate that depreciation so that you're not taxed as much that year.
Correct. So it's totally a time value of money play. Like you're just moving up depreciation essentially from 40 years, which half a lifetime, to a lot of it into year one. And so you're able to offset, if you're a real estate like a real estate professional, you can offset up to all your income for the year, depending on the size of the property and how much you have. If you're somebody like me, I think you actually have to think about it a little more strategically.